Well, welcome to Paulette's Paper Play. Obviously, I'm Paulette. We are going to play with Charming Autumn. This is a studio light collection, and this is just one of the cards that I did. And this is our new center step. That pretty, our circle step. So won't you please come play with us? Okay, you can really get the autumn vibe, can't you, with all the colors? Well, I'm going to start with this, and this has 36 sheets in it. They are an A4, so they're kind of a larger 8.5 by 11, if you will, and you will see that what these look like. So they did some like this with scenes. You're going to get 3 of each. Here's a little, which I did use him. And there's some poetry on here too, which is interesting to play with. And these absolutely charming little animals. And there's yet another. And then this is an all-over pattern. Another of the scenes, as you can see. Now I didn't use that, but 'tis there. And you can see music in a golden color. And very pretty, again, more poetry. And with them being this large, it's really going to give you, if you're doing cards, a lot of options. So play with that there. And we have this wood piece. Now, those are the papers. And then this is the die cut set. And there are over 300 die cut elements in here. They're already die cut. You can see that there's scissors that are X'd out, so that's your cue. And again, they're going to be some animals and some scenes, both. They all do have a white edge, and I'll talk to you about that. And you're going to get 2 each of every sheet that I am showing you. So that's fun. You end up with a ton of these babies. And the way I end up doing it is I pull 1 each of the sheets out so I can kind of see, and then I can play with them and figure out what I want to do. Okay, so this is my first card, and as you can see, this is a slimline card, and I used the Hunky Dory tent card for this, and that means it's going to have the fold at the narrow line rather than the long edge. So and it is a little bit wider than the typical ones that we carry. And I chose this one because I really wanted to use this paper, okay? And I saw that, and I really, whoops, let me turn this over because that's the poetry. So I wanted to get this in it, but also I knew that if I allowed that, I wanted to see that poem, that I would be cutting off most of the leaves. So as you can see, I only get about that many. So I trimmed off the front of it so I could add more of these leaves up here. So let me just show you that. So first step was to take my card front and kind of measure things out. So I wanted to see, because I didn't want this poem to be there because I thought it was really sweet. It's called Leaves at Play. And I wanted to trim this down so that it would hold my little squirrel, but also allow me to see the poem. So that has been trimmed out. You can see down here. And then I also trimmed part here because, like I said, I really wanted to see those leaves and make that part of the statement. Okay, so trimmed that down, then covered the inside with that sheet, starting at the top of the poem. That way I knew I would get the poem in there. Then I went into the die cuts. And as I said, the die cuts all have a white edge. And let me find that squirrel. Let's see. La la la. Yeah, there's a lot. There he is. Okay, so you can see this is, and as you can see here, it's very dark in here, which is a really nice contrast to the green, but I didn't necessarily want the white edge. So I used my ink pads. So these are the 3 ink pads that I'm going to use. It is a warm honey, khaki, and roasted pumpkin. And in choosing my colors, actually, these are the colors that I used. So you know, that's going to work for me. So I wanted to get like an orange, because there are several oranges in the collection of ink pads that would blend into this. So as you can see, all I did was pop this out, put it on my craft mat, use my blending brush, and do the roasted pumpkin on the edges. And I liked that look. So when I glued this in place, I made sure that he was overlapping the card on the inside. I just wanted that to happen. And for the leaves, again, the leaves are all over the collection. So let's look at this one. That I used the warm honey on, khaki for the green one, and then again, the roasted pumpkin on the orange leaf. And in keeping with the leaves falling, if you will, I foam taped those in place. So this is glued flat, these are foam taped. This is up about 1/2 inch, and then as I said, I went over, and the directions will tell you the measurements, okay? And they're down below. So you can see the difference between these being colored and not being white against my little guy inside. He's white, and I left him that way, but I did color this little piece, the With Love. It includes that leaf and this leaf with the khaki, just to tone them down a bit so that he really pops. Now the hello was fun because that came out of the script greetings, and this is actually a new script greetings in the orange, and that was a customer request, so that's made her happy. And the hello, I just thought really did a nice job of, you know, kind of duplicating the orange colors, and also, of course, as a fall color. And then you can see it right there. So all of those work together for me anyway. So there we go. And by the way, this is exactly what I do. Mostly I do this when I have colors that are similar. So like I would take, there's 3 colors of yellow, maybe put those on one, then I can match it to whatever I'm going to use. And it's a process that works very well for me. So I recommend it. Okay, so that's the first card. I'm going to go to this second one. You're going to see that I fell in love with these animals because they're on all 4 cards, and just really, really fun. So this time I am using this sheet. So there you go. And I absolutely love him. So I decided to put him on the inside. And you know, when you see it on this very long sheet, you don't quite get the impact that you do when it's a smaller size. So this again is 5 by 6.5 inches. So I wanted to cut him and just glue him to the inside, and that's exactly what I did. Then that gave me all of this to use. So I elected to cut my piece smaller, slightly smaller than my card, and I did start right here. Now there's some music going on there, but you know, that's going to get covered up, so I didn't have too much of a problem. Now with these, there's still a white border, but it's not strikingly white. So let me find these little critters in the book. And let's see. Okay, not there. Okay, this little guy is right here. See how stark white that is? Here it's not as stark. And the same thing with the squirrel and the little mouse, the Thinking of You. And with those, I used Dove Gray. Now the Dove Gray is a very, very light color. And I did it the same way with my blending brush on my craft mat. And so I popped those out, ranged them here just as I wanted them, and pulled out the Thinking of You. I did also pull out a leaf, and this leaf I did with the roasted pumpkin because it is the orange color. I foam taped him in place, and then I glued these 2 down just to let him be kind of the star of the show. Thinking of You is foam taped. I had fun with that little leaf coming down. I haven't done that before, and that worked nicely because we've got all these leaves going on, and of course the background. Then on the inside, as you can tell, I did my little hedgehog, and then have a beautiful day. That is one of the die cuts, and then the leaves are 2 other separate ones. So there's 3 right there. I really didn't do anything to this. Again, I let it be white, kind of playing against the white of his face. And then I did the honey, warm honey, and the roasted pumpkin, and all of these are foam taped. And notice I've got the stems overlapping that little tag, and that ribbon is a paper ribbon. It's part of the tag. So pretty quick to do, I would say. The hardest part is just having 300 die cuts to choose from. So that was fun. Okay, now I wanted to get into something a little different. And we recently came out with the circle stand-up card cutting dies. Super easy. In fact, I've already had customers say she was just delighted with how quick this went together and so flawlessly. So the process is right here on the package, and this is called a wallet packaging, and it's going to hold your cutting dies as well as your instructions, so everything stays together. Hallelujah, isn't that nice? And this has, let's see, there is the circle, that is the card. Let's see, I don't know if I should get all of these out or not, but let's just go for it. So this piece is your card base. These 2 do not cut because this gets placed on a fold of a card. And so have your card folded, your cardstock folded, and then place the cutting die over that fold, run it through your die cutting machine. So you just do that once. Then you've got what we call a donut. You've got you want to cut 2 of those, and then we have a circle. You're going to cut 1 of those, and those are going to go together like this. So you're going to take one side of the donut, take the circle, glue it in place, and then take the other donut and glue it to the back side. So that becomes very sturdy. And then you're just going to glue that to that little cutout area. That's what you're going to do. Now, we want to make sure that this doesn't stretch or fall. So we have this base, which for some reason I don't see in here, but let me show you what happens. You're going to cut that, and it is scored. So you're going to have the fold in the middle, and then attach each of the edges to the inside of your card, and that way it will stand up and not fall. It will be just perfect. Okay, so with all of that mentioned, oh, you can also do happy and birthday and friend, and there are balloons in there. So lots of opportunities for this guy. And on the package, the sample is using acetate, which I think is a very fun look. I did not do that. But there we go. So you can use acetate in the solid circle and again sandwich it between the 2 donuts. So what I did is I took, here's the sheet. This is the sheet that I used for my card base, and I really wanted it to look autumn, so I used this area and folded it in half and die cut it. You can see the bottom part there. Then my center area came from this sheet. Remember this one? And it came because I wanted the leaves to really be my background for my little critters. And so I did do the donuts out of, as you can probably tell, brown glitter, because it really is the autumn look. And I thought it was really pretty there, but it didn't take away from my little characters. So that was pleasing to me. And so that is my base. Then I went into, now this time, the only ones that I colored are the leaves. So I did a little arranging. I wanted to get my deer. He's foam taped because that's the main one. And then I just glued the squirrel. And the gold leaf is glued down. This is foam taped. Just for you, I just left that with the white border. So the white border isn't jarring, and it's not very wide, but you know, I wanted to play with that. So in these cases, these were left uninked. And you can do more on the back of it. So I thought it was fun to add him. And then your message goes here. And these will fit into our 10 envelopes. As you can see, just does a very nice job. Super fast to do. The hardest part of everything is figuring out which papers you want to use and which of the die cuts. I have one more card for you. And I love skeleton leaves. I don't know about you, but I just think they are sort of magic. And we do have packages of them. And literally, I've been holding on to them since last year. And I think there are 10 in the package, 10 or 12. So the package looks like this. And you can ink them. Now, I have inked these silver and gold. But before doing that, well, let me open up the card, because it's going to be like this. And this is my shutter card. So it's going to open. And notice I put some leaves on the inside. Okay, so let me just walk you through the process. So my selection was that I thought that was absolutely darling. But I couldn't do a whole lot with it, so I thought, okay, well, I'll put it either on the inside or on the front. As it turns out, I used it on the front. And again, there's a little bit of a faded out poem. That was fine. But this allowed me to get that little house, the tree, and my charming little animal. So I covered the front of my card. Now, because I wanted to use the shutter is one piece. And when you die cut that, okay, so as I said, it's one piece. Here we go. And you'll die cut that out of whatever you want. And then you fold it. So there are directions on it on how to fold. So you're doing a mountain fold and a valley fold, just like that. But in order to attach this to the inside of your card, you need to do something. So take your 5 by 6.5 inch card and cut a 1/2 inch away from the score line. That's going to remove all of this. This is going to become the base that this is going to fit onto. So you're going to end up doing extra sticky tape to attach those two together. But then your card's a little too long, so you're going to need to trim it to be 5 7/8 inches tall. Okay, so you can trim that, cut that excess off, and then you've got your card base, which is right here. Put your extra sticky tape on it and attach the shutter to it. Okay, so that's the basis of all of that. So I'm going to tuck this back into the wallet. And as always, this is a fabulous folded die, so the directions and everything are there. There's a sample, but here's what I did. So as I said, this is what I wanted on the front, so then what am I going to do on the inside? Well, what I wanted was, I looked at the die cuts, and I love this little poem. It's in one piece, and it's part of the die cuts. So I thought, well, that's going to work. But I also wanted to have this frame, which absolutely perfectly fit in this section. So there's a little bunny in the village and so forth. And so I wanted to use that. So I did use 2 different papers. Now you don't really see this one very much, and I probably could have gotten away with not using it, but then this would have been white over here. So I took my shutter card and I cut both of them. So I cut this, as you can tell, and then I cut another one, and let me lay this out for you. And I die cut right there to go across, knowing that, you know, this isn't going to be really seen, but I wanted it finished. And then I glued them together and folded them, attached them to the inside of my card. And then I put my die cut that's got September Woods. Yes, I was into the poetry this time. And then especially, I have my little bunny on this side, which was just perfect. And what I did is I popped him out, and I actually put him on this area, because he was a little bit bigger. So I put him on this area, I ran him through the machine and then trimmed off these two so that he would fit perfectly. So that worked nicely. We don't often talk about using just part of the cutting die, but that's what I did. And glued him there, glued that there, and then I wanted to do something with my skeleton leaves. So I pulled out our gold and silver ink pads. And let me show you. So what you can do is place it on a craft mat. And I think I'll do the silver. Now you can, this has been folded, so I'll just push it down. And all you do is tap it. That's all you do. Nothing difficult. Now, some of that ink is going to get on your craft mat, which is exactly why the craft mat is there. And see how it's going to lift? So you can either hold it down with a, well, how about a phone folder? There we go. Phone folders are always good. Okay. So you can get it as much silver or gold as you want. And like I said, you're going to have some on the craft mat, so you can just wipe it off with a baby wipe. But here is that piece in silver. How easy is that? Lovely. So, going back to my card, I did a gold one and just tucked it under here. And you're just going to see a little bit of it, but when you do this with the card, you're going to see the whole thing. And I thought, why not put them on the inside? So I overlapped them. Now, when you're attaching these, what worked best for me was I put some glue stick down on the card, and then I placed the leaf and let it dry. Did the same thing with that one. Did the same thing with this one. And I also put a gold and a silver on the front of my card. And hopefully you can see that. I guess the silver really shows best, but in person the gold is lovely. So that was fun, and it's something that like I said, I've been waiting a year, been saving them for you, so we do have them, and that's really, really fun. So that is our first step into autumn. Now, it may be warm where you are, because it's certainly warm where I am, but autumn is coming, and with it, it will bring cooler temperatures and some falling leaves also. So both of those are beautifully done in the Charming Autumn by Studio Light. Now, there is a money saver, of course, because there always is. It's on the right-hand side of your screen. It just has the two pieces, and there is just so much there. I just did 4 cards, but boy, you can do a ton more. If you happen to be watching us on YouTube, we would love it if you would subscribe. Then head on over to Paper Wishes. Studio Light comes from, I think it is, I'm blanking out on where they're from. I think they're Holland. And so we're really happy to have their products, because they do a ton of things, and this is just one, but we absolutely love getting the papers and the die cuts, especially when you get 300. So you YouTubers, just giving you a little bit of explanation, so all of that's there. You can get instructions down below. There are each of the photographs of the cards. You can click on them, get the instructions. Down below, scroll, 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 you can leave a comment. Whether or not you buy the product, you can leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I always look at them. And I want to thank you for being part of our Paper Wishes family. Okay, we're going to see you again shortly. Bye-bye.